Every October, my town runs a big haunted hayride through an old farm. It's loud, crowded, and packed with kids hyped up on cider and sugar. That year, I was maybe 12, and my mom let me go with a group of neighborhood kids. The line for the hayride stretched almost to the parking lot. Families were laughing, little kids were running around with glow sticks, and wagons kept pulling up, loading full, then trundling off into the woods. It felt chaotic in that way fall festivals always do. At one point, while everyone in my group was distracted, digging in their backpacks, arguing about who got to sit where, a tractor rolled up that didn't stop at the main loading gate. Instead, it slowed just a little near the side of the line, almost like it was waiting for me. The wagon was nearly empty, just a thin layer of hay, no riders. The driver didn't wave, didn't call out. He just stared straight ahead, cap pulled low, hands fixed on the wheel. Everyone around me was laughing too loud to notice when I drifted off, walked right past the ropes and climbed onto the wagon. The tractor groaned, gears grinding as it pulled away. No one called after me. No one even looked. My group was still in line, shouting at each other. The engine growled, and the festival noise faded behind me. That's when I realized this ride wasn't headed toward the trail of screams and flashing lights. The tractor was turning the other way, into a part of the farm that was completely dark. The only sound was the steady chug of the engine and the crunch of the tires on gravel. I sat there, gripping the hay bales, thinking maybe this was some kind of behind-the-scenes route. But the further we went, the more I started having doubts. We passed rusted-out equipment, piles of broken fence posts, and old sheds with doors hanging open. Then, we reached the tree line. The tractor didn't slow. It pulled into the woods, branches scraping against the sides of the wagon. The driver still hadn't looked back. Finally, I croaked out, excuse me." My voice sounded tiny against the drone of the engine. That's when I heard it, not from the driver, but from behind me. Buried under the hay, a wheezing sound, like someone trying to laugh without air. I scrambled up, backing toward the edge of the wagon, and a hand shot out of the hay, pale and stiff, grabbing at my ankle. I screamed, kicking free, nearly trembling off the moving wagon. The hand clawed once more, then fell limp as the body beneath the hay shifted, too light, too hollow, like it wasn't really human at all. I bolted down the path, heart hammering. Branches snagged my clothes. Dirt flew under my feet, but I didn't care. All I wanted was to get back to the bonfire, to the music and laughter, to the other kids who didn't know anything was wrong. When I finally burst out of the cornfield and into the lights of the festival, everything seemed normal. Kids shouting, parents calling after them, the smell of cider and popcorn in the air. I glanced back toward the dark rows, and the wagon was gone. The tractor had rejoined the other rides, full of people, like nothing had ever happened. I asked one of the staff about the driver. They looked genuinely confused. "All the tractors have been accounted for," they said. "No one took out a single passenger wagon tonight." As I walked away, part of me tried to shrug it off. Maybe it was just part of the experience, some rare mistake, some trick of the haunted hayride. But I've never heard anyone else share the same story. To this day, I have no idea who drove me out there, or what might have happened if I hadn't climbed down when I did. A few Halloweens ago, my friends Jake, Marcus, and I decided to check out the haunted hayride at Willow Creek Farm. The place was buzzing, bonfires crackling, kids running around in costumes, and the smell of roasted marshmallows lingering in the air. You could hear distant screams from the corn maze and see actors in full zombie makeup lurking near the pumpkin patch. We waited in line for almost an hour, joking and trading stories about haunted houses we'd been to before. When it was finally our turn, we all climbed into the wagon together, shuffling around the hay bales and settling in shoulder to shoulder, laughing at the actors lurking nearby. That's when I first noticed her. A girl sitting in the back, behind me, alone. She had a plain gray hoodie over her head. No costume, no expression, just staring straight ahead. It was a little creepy, but I shrugged and tried to ignore it. She stayed there the whole ride, motionless, but every so often I felt the light tap on my shoulder. I'd spin around and that girl was just looking at me. I couldn't tell if it was part of the act or something, but I felt generally freaked out, the hairs on my neck standing on end every time our eyes met. Even as the wagon rolled along, weaving through the twisted rows of corn, I kept catching glimpses of that girl, always watching, always silent. Marcus and Jake didn't notice. They were too busy jumping at the actors in the cornfield or laughing at the skeletons that dangled from the trees. I tried to tell myself it was part of the fun, maybe some hidden scare element of the ride. But there was something off. The way she never reacted to anything around her, just followed my every move with those dark, steady eyes. When the wagon finally pulled back to the loading area, the crowd spilled onto the path. Kids ran to the apple cider stand. Parents snapped photos. The actors walked by in full costume. The girl? She stayed in the wagon, watching me. I asked a worker as casually as I could, who's that girl? The worker blinked and looked around. What girl? No one else had seen her. I told myself maybe it was just part of the experience, some hidden haunt I'd never heard about. A little later, after the hayride, we decided to check out the corn maze. The stalks were tall and thick, forming twisting paths and dead ends, with actors lurking to jump out at anyone who wandered too close. Jake and Marcus were joking about how easy it would be to scare me, so I hung back a bit, letting them take the lead. Not long in, I felt it again, a tap on my back. I spun around, but the path behind me was empty. The corn stalks swayed in the wind, dry leaves crunching beneath my feet, and for a moment, I thought I was imagining it. Then I heard it, that girl's laugh, soft and just out of reach. I called out, "Okay, very funny, who's there?" Nothing, just the rustling corn. I shook it off and hurried to catch up with my friends, who were just a few yards ahead, already laughing at some prank they pulled on each other. We kept moving through the maze, and several times I thought I felt a light pressure on my back, like someone brushing past me. Each time I turned, there was nothing, just a faint giggle echoing through the rows of corn. Walking back toward the entrance, I kept my pace steady, ears straining for any unusual sounds. Leaves crunched underfoot, and the maze walls pressed in tighter than I remembered, the paths winding in quiet loops. When we exited, the maze was quiet behind us. Jake and Marcus were joking about getting snacks, oblivious to the chills crawling up my arms. I glanced back once more, half expecting to see her, the girl from the hayride, standing at the edge of the corn, hoodie up, watching. But, of course, she wasn't there. Even now, years later, I sometimes wonder if she was ever really part of the ride at all, or if she was something else entirely. But the taps, the giggle, the feeling of eyes following me, that I can't explain. A few years ago, when I was in high school, my friends and I went to a farm that hosted one of the biggest haunted hayrides around. Every October, the place was packed with families, teenagers, whole groups from neighboring towns. You could smell the kettle corn in the air, hear chainsaws buzzing in the distance, and see actors in makeup darting between the crowds. While my friends were hanging near the bonfire talking to a group of people we knew, I wandered off down one of the side paths that led toward the cornfield. That's when this man approached me. He didn't look like one of the costumed workers. No mask, no makeup, just a tall guy in jeans and a dirty hoodie. He asked if I wanted to help out with the scare. Thinking it was part of the event, maybe something they let volunteers do, I said sure, why not? He handed me a chainsaw. It was heavier than I expected, but I figured it was one of those prop ones with the blade removed. He gestured for me to follow, and we walked a short way down the dirt path together until he stopped near a bend where the wagons passed. "This is your spot," he said flatly, pointing to the edge of the trail. He told me to wait there, and when the next hayride wagon rolled past, I should run out, rev it up, and slam it against the side of the wagon. Sounded fun enough, and honestly, I was kind of excited to be part of the show. I turned for a second, adjusting my grip on the handle. By the time I looked back, the man was already wandering off into the cornfield. No goodbye, no instructions about where to return the chainsaw, just slipping between the stalks like he belonged there. When the wagon came rumbling down the path, packed with people, I stepped out just like he told me. I yanked the cord, and the thing roared to life. Sparks jumping from the muffler. The sound was deafening. It wasn't until I slammed it against the wagon that I realized something was horribly wrong. Instead of just bouncing off like a prop, the teeth of the chain dug into the wood. Splinters flew everywhere. People screamed. Real screams, not the fun kind, as the side of the wagon cracked. I froze, dropped the chainsaw, and stumbled back. The tractor driver stopped immediately. Staff came running over, yelling at me, grabbing the chainsaw off the ground. The whole ride was shut down for a half an hour. I kept trying to explain that one of the actors gave it to me, told me it was part of the scare. But when the workers pressed me for details, no one matched the description I gave. They said all of their equipment was locked up, and every single actor had their own props accounted for. Later, the police showed up. They questioned me for almost an hour, asking where I got the chainsaw and who handed it to me, if I was trying to pull some kind of stunt. I told them over and over it wasn't me. It was that guy. Dirty hoodie, pale face, no mask. But no one else saw him. Not my friends, not the workers, not even the people on the wagon. To this day, I have no idea who that man was, or how he handed me a real chainsaw like it was nothing. And the part that keeps me up sometimes, the chainsaw wasn't logged as belonging to the farm. No one could figure out where it came from, and the man who handed it to me was never seen again.